Hello, everyone. Welcome into Above My Pay Grade. My name is Eric, and I'm sure you all know who I have with me today, the Economic Ninja. He was just a brief overview. He was the guy that inspired me to start my channel. I met him about a year and a half ago at a meetup, and yeah, so he was the inspiration for the channel, and I really appreciate you coming on, Ninja.
Hey, thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. And yes, I do still remember how we met.
Yeah, I was in the bathroom. I had just washed my hands. Um, but Ninja, I've
That's
been
okay. And I hadn't, so I couldn't shake your hand.
um, Ninja, I've been watching your channel for a while, and you have a lot of good takes on economics. And I've always been a student of economics, and one of the things I've been thinking about, I'm in the military, and I know you work for the fire department. Um, Pensions have been one of the things in my mind. There's public and private pensions. One of the things I've been thinking about is investing differently because you have a pension. Maybe you could potentially take more risk, and this is with the understanding that potentially the system as we know it is failing, the dollar-based system. So what would you say to a person both in a I would assume you're in a private pension, but for me, I'm in a federal pension if I retire in the military, which means they'll print the dollars or they won't pay us. One of those two things is going to happen. And if they're not paying us, we obviously have bigger issues at that point. But what would you say to a person who has a pension or potentially is going to have a pension in the future? Would you tell them to invest slightly differently than somebody who's just,
Well,
9 to 5?
yeah. So actually, I believe that the risk is if you have a pension. And the reason why I say that is because too many people use a pension as the end all be all, the safeguard, the safety net. And one day I believe that you're going to wake up and find out that that pension is not there. There are examples throughout history, even in recent history, back around 2005, 2007, when all the major airlines, they went through a horrible transition when they go, hey, we're broke, we don't have the money to pay you, and they were sued by the pensioners. They said, "Hey, no, you got to pay us. You made this agreement." It went all the way up to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court even said, "Nah, you know what? You don't have to not only pay your pension, obligations, but you could just keep on keeping on." And profits were still made. CEOs still made bonuses, and that is a very scary thing. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of people that work in the airline industry. I run into them all the time when I'm flying that follow the channel because they saw those videos because very few people talk about that. So if you use your pension as a safety net and then you don't do anything outside of it, that's when it gets very, very scary. Now, when I started to realize this about the pension funds and how they are underfunded, and not only underfunded, but through inflation, you're being robbed anyway, because in the military, you know that your pension is going to be very small, right? It's just a fraction of what you made while being in the military. One of the greatest benefits of being in the military is having that lifetime insurance benefits, right? Healthcare
Right.
benefits. That's something that shouldn't be discounted. And that's why where people should look at getting a job that has certain things like that. But the problem is looking at the pension amount, it's a fraction of what you were making, right? And
Sure.
it's a fixed amount. It usually you can't expect a COLA, cost of living average, or a cost of living increase to come every year. I
Right.
worked in the military or the Department of Defense, and we didn't have a COLA for, I want to say, 10 years after the Great Recession. So that's something that people need to realize, that that's just not around there. So you need to be investing outside of your pension. Pension's great. It's like the cherry on top, but it's not the sundae. It's not the rest of the glacier that's sitting underneath the water, which should be your financial security. You need to build that yourself. So I would say that honestly, start to be afraid if you have a pension and start to plan outside of it.
Yeah, I agree. I think you should always be investing. I just think of like the risk. Let's say, since I'm in the military, unlike private pensions, if they run out of money, they don't pay you. In the military, if they run out of money, there's some real big problems in the United States. Um,
Can I jump in real
yeah,
quick?
sure.
Because a lot of people said that throughout history, we have been shown time and time again the government's actually run out of money and stopped paying the people. And I
Yeah,
believe that day is actually coming in America. So, yes, I believe that hard times are coming. Now, those times could be as far as 10 years out. But I do believe that we are coming into a time where benefits will not be paid, along with entitlements will not be paid. All right. The government will just go, sorry, we don't have the money.
Mhm.
It's busted. And we've seen this before in history. The Greeks, the Romans, the Chinese Empire, all these different empires, the British government, they always, collapse and they can't pay the obligations that they made, the debts they made, the promises they made.
Sure.
And so my thing is starting to plan outside of that. Now, what's funny is you talk about risk, like, but if you have a pension, maybe you can invest a little risky when you're young or early in your career. I hear this a lot. Let's start talking about the basics. People, if you want to be in the elite, get out of debt. Don't have debt. If you could literally work on that and do this one thing, the one thing that young people I see, the reason why they are not going to be able to retire when they get old, and you're going to find yourself working at Walmart, literally as a greeter, and I use that not as an insult, but like, come on, who wants to work at Walmart as a greeter? Seriously, who like in your golden years, you want to be enjoying life. You want to be out fishing, walking, making friends, meeting friends, all that stuff. You don't want to be doing this. It's because they didn't pay off their home. They didn't own a home. That
Mhm.
is the one thing that you could fix that is solid. Now, taxes on homes, not solid, right? But the point being is that when we talk about being risky, we need to stop talking about being risky and making these massive gains like we saw in crypto, what we've seen over and over in stock bubbles or housing bubbles. We need to get to like literally be the elite. The elite own a core set of assets that if everything gets taken away from them, every bubble bursts, every investment goes to crap, they have a core holding of a home to live in, some income coming in that can't be touched, in whatever financial vehicle it is, and they have it wrapped up in a trust. So that no matter what happens, whatever financial storm happens, that is solid. And that's what I'm telling people to do. And then go get risky. I did that even with my own wife. Built a trust, put assets in a trust, and then at a certain point, then we go, okay, whatever I do, the ninja does on the outside. If everything implodes, we still have that. We have that. That's the nest egg. That's what people think about it. I just watched all of my buddies lose 25 to 30% of their entire pension. Their not 10 pension. There was TSP fund.
Mhm.
It's not even a full pension. Half or 60% of what you're worth when you retire is actually on the stock market. It's a fund. They saw 30% of that go just disappear this year, and they're about to see more of that go bye-bye pretty soon. So that's what I'm trying to tell people too, is just to get down to that core holdings.
Yeah, you sleep better at night too when you
Yes.
don't have debt. Your life's a lot simpler. I think you talk a lot about gold and silver, and I think that that's kind of what I'm getting at is like if your federal pension doesn't pay out, there's some problems with the dollar.
Yeah.
So if you're invested, let's say in the stock market, that's obviously going to be affected more so as well as your pension. And maybe you want to have some holdings of gold and silver and potentially Bitcoin. That's
Yeah.
kind of the way I think about it. Like, hey, if you have so many eggs in this basket, which is the dollar system, they're all going to go down at the same time or crack at the same time
Yeah.
if, let's say, your pension doesn't pay out and it's federal.
Yep.
That's just the way I think about it.
No, I think you're completely correct. And again, like you said, sleeping better at night. When you sleep better at night, you make much better. You make smarter decisions, better informed decisions, and you are literally different. You are an elite thinker now. It sounds funny. I use that example of the silver dime. You want to be elite? Do something that the elite own some precious metals. You've already beat 99%, actually more than that, of the world's population in something that you own. And if you look at the price of gold, holy cow, we're over $1,900 an ounce, right?
Right.
Solid, strong numbers on really high interest rates. And when I say high, I mean they have nowhere to go. They're going to go up a little bit more, but then after that, the bottom's the limit. I mean, it's literally we are going to see much stronger gold prices as interest rates come down and more money is printed. So I'm going to be honest with you, watching $1,900 gold with a Fed funds rate over 4%, mortgages over 6%, and people just reeling right now. The future is so bright for gold, it's insane. Now, with that being said, it's going to have price fluctuations, ups and downs. If you're looking at the ups and downs or like the 1 week chart or what it's done last month, you are literally missing the big picture. You need
Hmm.
to expand your horizons, come up to the 20,000 foot level and look down on the earth, and then all of a sudden it'll become a reality of what's really going on and what opportunities you have coming up.
Yeah, looking at the Weimar Germany, uh, the mark, the German mark at the time compared to gold. If you zoom in, it's very jagged, and then
Yeah.
you zoom out, it's basically up and to the right. So it is.
Yep.
We have this kind of short time horizon bias,
Yeah.
which is what humans do. My last question for you.
Yeah.
You talk about the system collapsing, and I'm a student of history. Um, how do we, let's say this dollar system collapses,
Yep.
CBDC, all that's going to do is just, unless it revalues the debt, one CBDC to 10 old US dollars, it doesn't do anything
Yep.
it doesn't kill the debt. So what I'm getting at is, how do we not do this again?
Yeah.
If this is the way money works, I think whatever new system the government comes up with, they don't want a solid currency again.
No.
They don't want something back to something they can't control. So
Nope.
what's your take on, like, what when it dies,
Yeah.
is it going to be slow, fast? How do you see it
So it'll
going?
seem like overnight, but it's not. It already is dying.
Hmm.
The fact is, every time the Federal Reserve, through the allowance of the government letting them print more money, prints more money to just keep up with the rate of inflation, and which is actually making it worse. The system's dying, right?
Right.
Anytime a pension fund has to revamp its numbers and say, okay, all you guys get this much, but to all the new employees that come in, you have to pay a little bit more and you get a little bit less. The pension system's dying. Let's define death and collapse, because literally a few months ago, I did some videos on a diesel shortage, and I talked about how national stockpiles were at their lowest in 50 years. And this is going to increase the price of diesel at the pump through so many different mechanisms, from the futures market to people panicking and running down and buying a bunch of fuel so demand will increase, right? Some people, very few people, are so, I'm not dumb, that they literally think, well, you said there's going to be no diesel. And I'm like, no, I said there is a diesel shortage going on. It's going to increase prices. And people literally go, but there's diesel at the gas pump. I get it. It's at a higher price. See, the point is that it never goes away. There's always going to be diesel coming out of the ground, but what cost,
Mhm.
right? It's the exact same thing with the dollar. The dollar's never going to die. It's just going to show up in a new form. As a matter of fact, in the last 100 years, 3 times the words on the dollar have changed. And those were actually different currency systems. And every single time you saw the words on the dollar change, how they were backed, what they were backed with, values of gold changed, values of silver changed, values of real estate changed. People have no concept of it. So all you have to do with the CBDC is know this: you need to be into the next thing. Right now, as this currency is dying and digital currencies coming in place so that they can completely control you, put money directly into your wallet, take it out if you want, hit you if you're putting bad things on the internet, all this stuff. You need to understand what's happening to the price of gold is in direct correlation to all the fiat currencies around the world going down together, including the US dollar. So you need to be in that. And then what's the next system that goes up? The next thing is, after a plunge in real estate values, real estate coming back up because the bank's going to buy it. So you just have to be ahead. The dollar is never going away. Diesel's never going away. There's going to be certain things that are always here, but at what cost? What is its value in relation to the fiat currency, and also priced in gold? You have to look at those things. So people just need to get those terminologies correct. It's not going away. It's always going to be here. And like you said, governments love being able to print more money because that's how they pad their own pockets. They are not going to back it in gold and silver. I just honestly do not believe that. Now, if they do, what they're going to do is they're going to buy up a bunch of gold themselves, and then they'll revalue it at $50,000. Once
They've never
again,
done
that's a
that
prime
before, right?
example of them padding their own pockets.
Yeah, they've never revalued gold before.
Just once.
After,
They did do once.
yeah, I
Remember?
know, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
After
1953.
they
Definitely.
confiscated it.
No, yeah, because there's people that say that, and I'm like,
Yeah.
no, they actually have done it. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
so yeah, okay.
Yeah, our government's benevolent.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate the info, Ninja. I appreciate what you do. Thanks for the inspiration for starting my channel, and
Hey,
hope to have you back on again soon.
yeah, and let me know when this thing comes on so I could share it and boost your numbers, hopefully, and get some of Ninja Nation following you. That'd be great.
All right, awesome. It'll be on this afternoon.
I'll watch out for you in the bathroom.
All right. All right, thanks so much, Ninja.
Thanks, man. See
All
ya.
right, bye.